Sweetie, if you needed extra work tonight, you could have just signed up. Pretending to be a guest isn't the move.
Allow me. One less confused worker ruining the vibe.
Maybe now he knows where he stands.
He didn't own a suit that cost enough to impress anyone in that room. He owned the company signing the deal. Nobody in that ballroom knew it, so they poured wine on him instead, in front of 200 guests, calling him staff, calling him nothing. Phones were already recording, and by the time they realized what they'd done, he was already gone. You know that feeling when a room looks perfect, but something rotten is hiding under all that shine? That was the night Trevon Ashby walked into the Meridian Grand Ballroom. Navy suit, simple watch, clean fade, nothing loud. The kind of look rich people overlooked because it didn't beg for attention. He liked it that way. Let them guess. Crystal chandeliers hung over white tablecloths. A quartet played something soft nobody actually listened to. Every screen in the room glowed with one logo, spinning slow, Novacore Dynamics. Their $750 million deal with a mystery investor was the only thing anyone talked about. Staff whispered it in the hallway. Guests bragged like they already owned a piece of it. Trevon moved through the crowd slow, hands in his pockets, eyes scanning faces. Security had already stopped him at the door. The guard looked him up and down. "You with catering, sir?" Trevon just smiled and held up a black card with a silver seal. The guard stepped back, red-faced. But the damage was already done, because inside, the same energy followed him everywhere. Two women in sequins clutched their bags tighter when he passed, like he might bump into them. A man in a tux cut in front of him at the bar. "Staff line's over there, right?" Trevon didn't answer. He just stepped aside and ordered water. If tonight went the way he planned, he wouldn't need to explain a single thing. At the far end of the room, the host tapped the mic, and cameras swung toward the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Novacore Dynamics Gala." Applause rose like a rehearsed reflex. Trevon stood near a marble column, close enough to see everything, far enough to be invisible. "Tonight we celebrate a historic partnership," the host said, smiling too wide. $750 million, a deal that will reshape this city, maybe the whole market. You could feel the greed thicken in the air. Then she appeared. Peyton Kessler, the CEO's wife, glided onto the stage in a gold dress that caught every light in the room. She waved like a queen, greeting her people. Beside her stood her husband, Grant Kessler, the face of Novacore, suit pressed so sharp it looked dangerous. Everyone watched them, everyone except the one man who actually owned the company they were about to sign with. Whispers started before Trevon even moved. A server passed with a wine tray, and a guest leaned toward her friend. "That guy keeps popping up where he shouldn't. Bet he's trying to blend in." Her friend laughed under her breath. "Cute suit, though." Trevon ignored it. He kept his steps easy, his face calm. The carpet swallowed the sound of his shoes. Peyton spotted him first. Her smile curled slow, like she'd found a target she'd been hunting for all night. She whispered something to Grant. Grant's eyebrows dropped, and he stepped off the stage, walking straight at Trevon, with a tight, fake charm plastered on his face. "Sir, are you supposed to be standing here?" Grant tapped Trevon's sleeve like he expected him to flinch. Trevon kept his voice soft. "I'm fine here. Just observing." Grant chuckled. "Observing? Right." He snapped his fingers at a passing server. "Get this man a towel. Looks like he's sweating through that budget suit." A few guests glanced over, trying not to stare. Someone whispered too loud, "Who let him into VIP? Staff entrance is on the other side." Peyton arrived next, heels clicking in a clean rhythm. She lifted a wine glass off a tray without even looking at the server, then looked Trevon up and down. "Sweetie, if you needed extra work tonight, you could have just signed up. Pretending to be a guest isn't the move." Trevon said nothing. His silence unsettled her more than words could. She pushed the glass toward his chest. "Go take this to table 3. They're waiting." He didn't move. Her smile cracked. "Seriously? Do your job." Grant snatched the glass from her hand. "Allow me." He raised it high, eyes sweeping the crowd like he was performing. One less confused worker ruining the vibe. Then he tipped the glass forward and poured it straight down Trevon's chest. The wine hit warm and sharp. It slid down his collar in dark red lines. Gasps cracked through the room. Someone whispered, "Yo!" He actually did that. Phones lifted. Someone was already recording. Peyton laughed under her breath. Maybe now he knows where he stands. Trevon wiped his jaw with 2 fingers, slow and controlled. He straightened his jacket, turned, and walked toward the exit without saying a single word. A server whispered as he passed, "That man just walked out like he owns this whole place." Nobody believed it. Not yet. The hallway outside felt cooler, almost silent after the noise he'd left behind. Trevon walked steady, fingertips brushing the wine stain spreading across his jacket. He breathed once, slow, then pulled out his phone. The screen lit his face. He tapped one contact. A voice answered instantly. "Ready for instructions, sir." Trevon's voice stayed low. "Pull the offer. Freeze every channel. Announce it now." Understood. The call ended. No emotion, just motion. A couple near the elevator watched him, half recognizing him from somewhere they couldn't place. "That's the guy they drenched," the woman murmured. He didn't react. Her husband shook his head. Rich folks never expect the quiet ones to bite back. The elevator hummed with soft music that faded into the walls. Trevon's reflection stared back at him. Steady eyes, calm jaw, wine soaking into fabric. A second message buzzed. "Legal team confirmed. Everything's moving." When the doors opened, the lobby buzzed with guests stepping out for calls and gossip. Someone spotted the stain on his shirt. "That's him," another voice near the bar muttered. "Something's off about that guy. You don't walk like that unless you're somebody." Trevon didn't slow down. Outside, the cold air sharpened his thoughts. A valet rushed toward him. He lifted one hand. "Walking's fine." The valet stepped back, unsure what he'd just seen. As Trevon crossed the driveway, the music inside the ballroom swelled, then cut dead. Guests near the windows turned, confused. "Why'd everything stop?" One man muttered. "Something happened in there. Maybe trouble with the deal." His date shrugged, eyes locked on the glass. At the edge of the lot, Trevon's phone buzzed one more time. Announcement delivered. Partners notified. He locked the screen and slid it into his pocket. Behind him, the glass doors burst open. Voices spiked. Chairs scraped against marble. A wave of panic rolled through the lobby. Trevon didn't turn around. He stepped into the streetlight, shoulders loose, face unreadable, walking with the same quiet certainty he'd carried all night. Behind him, in the ballroom he'd just left, the first tremor of the fallout was only beginning. Inside, everything broke at once. The music cut mid-note. Screens flickered. The host froze. Smile still half raised. A tall man in a gray suit rushed through the tables, phone pressed to his ear, face shifting from confusion to panic. He whispered something to the host. The host went pale. Grant noticed first. "What's going on?" The host swallowed hard. The signing suspended. The room erupted. Conversations collided, sharp and overlapping. Suspended? For what? A woman whispered to her partner. "You don't freeze a $750 million deal in the middle of a gala." Peyton tried to keep her composure, but her hand shook. She grabbed the host's arm. "Who gave that order?" The host looked almost scared to answer. "It came from the top. Directives final." Grant's jaw locked. "I'm the top." The host shook his head. "Not tonight." Across the room, executives stared at their phones as alerts stacked up, each one worse than the last. "Every account tied to Novacor just got frozen," someone blurted. Another voice cracked in. "Investors are pulling out. My screen's all red." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Cameras clicked again. Even the servers stopped moving. Then, someone near the doors tapped a friend's shoulder. "Look at this." The friend leaned in, eyes going wide. "Wait, isn't that the guy they poured wine on?" A video played on a phone screen. The clip showed Grant tipping the glass, the splash landing clean. Peyton smirking beside him. The caption underneath read, "They humiliated a man they thought was staff." He walked out like he owned the place. The clip spread through the room like fire through dry grass. Guests stared at their screens, then at Grant, then back at their screens. Phones lifted everywhere. Silence turned sharp. Peyton grabbed Grant's arm. Fix it, now. I don't even know what broke, he snapped back. Her voice cracked. Someone did this on purpose. A new alert lit up the main display screens behind the stage. NovaCore Dynamics contract terminated. Grant blinked hard, like the words might rearrange themselves. No warning. No negotiation. Just gone. A board member stormed toward him, face bloodless. This is catastrophic. Do you have any idea who you offended tonight? I offended no one, Grant barked. You offended the man who funded this entire deal. Peyton's breath caught. Who? The board member's voice dropped low, like saying the name too loud might make it worse. Trevin Ashby. Grant's face drained of every ounce of color. He owns the partner company, the board member added. All of it. Every share. A gasp rolled across the hall. A server near the wall whispered to another, Told you he didn't walk like staff. The second server whispered back, They messed with the wrong man tonight. Badly. Grant looked around the room, like the air itself had vanished. Peyton pressed a hand to her forehead, her makeup smudging under her fingers. Her voice shook. We poured wine on the investor. The fallout hit full force. Guests backed toward the doors. Some slipped out quietly. Others kept recording. Phones held high like torches. NovaCore's future cracked apart in real time, right there under the chandeliers. And somewhere outside, past the valet stand, past the streetlights, Trevon kept walking, calm, unbothered, already 3 steps ahead of everyone, still standing in that ballroom. Morning hit Grant and Peyton like a truck with no brakes. Headlines flooded every screen before sunrise. The wine clip looped non-stop, Grant's arm tipping forward, Peyton's smirk, Trevon's silence. Comments dragged them without mercy. Investors bailed one by one. Partners vanished. Board members resigned overnight, their emails short and final. NovaCore's stock dropped so fast, the numbers looked fake. Peyton barely slept. She sat on the edge of the bed, hands shaking, mascara smeared down her cheeks, phone buzzing every few seconds like it was mocking her. Grant paced the room, hair a mess, shirt wrinkled from a night he never actually spent sleeping. Every call ended the same blunt way. We're out. Don't call again. By noon, Peyton finally said it out loud. We have to talk to him. If we don't, everything is gone. Grant hesitated, jaw tight, then nodded, weak, defeated, out of options. They drove across town to Trevon's neighborhood, quiet streets, ordinary houses, the total opposite of the chaos they'd woken up inside. When Trevon opened the door, he studied them with calm eyes, like the entire storm outside hadn't touched him at all. Peyton spoke first, her voice breaking halfway through the sentence. We were wrong. We treated you like nothing. Please, let us fix this. Grant's voice shook too. We lost everything. Just give us a chance to talk. Trevon stepped aside, but he didn't invite them in. He kept his tone soft, firm, final. You didn't lose everything today. You lost it the second you decided a person's worth came from your own comfort. They stood there, silent, small in a way they'd never been small before. You built a world, Trevon said, where you believed disrespect had no cost. Now you're just seeing the bill. Peyton wiped her face, whispering, We didn't know who you were. That's the problem, Trevon said. You didn't care who I was. Grant swallowed hard. Is there anything we can do? Trevon shook his head once. Slow, final. The deal is gone. The trust is gone. And my door is closed. He stepped back into the doorway, already turning away, already done with them. Walk carefully, he said. The world is smaller than you think. They left with nothing. His life kept moving forward. Their legacy stayed right there on that porch, cracked open, and never got picked back up again.